What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 of Procedurally Generated, the show about the random history of video games. My name is Chris Weber. I'm here with John Carson.
Hello.
How are you today, John?
Good. Happy
Good.
New Year, everyone.
Yeah. This is the first one, isn't it?
First show of the new year. Let's
2021, and things have gotten instantly better. Right?
If you say so. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That's how science works.
I still haven't left the house, so I don't know.
that actually sounds very good.
Yeah.
I've left the house too much this year.
That's true. Well, actually, that's not true. I went to pick up Jack from daycare. That is the extent of my house leaving. And I checked the mail twice.
Yeah,
there was
that would
no
do
mail one of the times. It felt like a real wasted trip.
Was it New Year's Day?
No.
Was it the first day? You're like, wonder if I'm going to have some good mail today.
Aw, 2021 lets me down again.
Damn you.
Anyways, yeah, no, we're 2021 is off to a start. So we'll see what happens.
Sure.
But yeah, you guys, welcome to episode 10. This is again the show about the random history of video games. We take a whole big list of games, we select a couple of them from the list using random means, and we do a deep dive into those games. But first, before we get into that, let's cover some topics. One thing on my end, if you guys listened into episode 8, it was 8, right? I think it was 8. Now I'm all confused.
8, yes.
It was 8.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Gosh, I got somebody in my chat who
No,
was just
wait,
messing
hold on.
with me. It was 9.
Wait, it was 9. It was 9.
It was
that
9.
was me. It was me. I was messing with you.
It's Timmy. Timmy was like, and then he had me convinced that I had it. Anyways, we covered Corpse Party one or 2 episodes ago. It was last week? Yeah, of course it was last week. That's the reason I'm playing the damn thing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, it came up on my list of games to stream. So I have been playing Corpse Party. And this is significant because this is the first time I've streamed a game that we've covered on the podcast. And in fact, I streamed it all the way through to completion today. So cool game. The VODs, I could probably attach those to the Discord if you guys want to see what those are. The VODs being the videos from my Twitch stream. But yeah, we made it all the way through. Interesting game. Glad I played it. Glad I researched it. Glad I learned a little bit more about it. I had fun with it. I need to go back to YouTube and watch some of the other endings. The game has like true endings, and then it also has wrong ends, which I found at the very end of the game and ran out of time and couldn't find the right end. So I'm just going to...
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a bummer. But neat game. Very neat. Again, if you guys don't know anything about Corpse Party, go back to episode 9 and
do you think we portrayed it pretty well when we talked about it?
Yeah, I think so. I went in with expectations. Well, one thing that threw me off, and I don't know if I needed this, because to be completely honest with you, the subject matter in that game gets pretty dark. It's a horror game, Japanese horror game, that deals with the deaths of young children.
Yes.
And there's teens that are the main victims in the game, but the story revolves around the deaths of young children prior to the events that take place in the game. So there were moments that I just did not feel super comfortable partaking in. But so when I say what I'm about to say, I didn't need this, but in our research, maybe I was playing the wrong version, or maybe this was included in a different version, but I thought that there were going to be some like hand-drawn stills that would kind of be a part of the game. I never saw any of those.
Oh, weird.
So that was a little strange. I wasn't looking forward to them, but I thought it would do a good job of breaking up just some of the aesthetics that you face in that kind of game.
Right.
But they never came. So
it's very odd.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe that's like the 3DS version or something.
I guess it could be.
I don't know.
Playing Blood Covered.
Blood Covered, yeah, which is the
enhanced
remake,
but not the doubly enhanced remake. It's the middle enhancement.
Right.
I guess is what we'll call it. But it was an interesting game. I think it was exactly what I expected. The story was good. Granted, I got to see how it culminates, because the ending that I got was
was bad.
rough.
You got a bad one.
Yeah, things could have gone better. Let's just say that.
I'm sure people are dead.
Yeah, most everybody.
Oof.
When I fail hard. But yeah, no, that was fun. So again, that's on my Twitch page. I'll try to get the first VOD is on the Discord now. If you want to check that out, I will get. There should be 4. I think it took me. No, it took me 3 episodes. I think 3 episodes. So 3 to 4 hour chunks. Not a super long game, but there's plenty to do. You can go back and hunt around for stuff. There's some extras and things like that. So cool game. Yeah, I will say
Nice.
that. The other big announcement, John, why don't you roll this one out? This is a big one.
Yeah. So starting this week, late last week, Chris texted me and let me know that we have hit our goal. It's no longer a meme. We've hit our goal on Patreon of $100 a month. So we can now start putting our episodes up on YouTube.
It's a good thing we didn't push through that order for t-shirts.
Just $10 more dollars.
Yeah.
Headbands that are just $10 bills. I mean that could be our next goal could be $10 away. We never know.
That's true.
But yeah, starting this week, we're going to be putting all of our backlog onto YouTube, and hopefully have this episode up when everything else goes live for this episode on podcast apps. So, yeah. So we are also going to start looking into adding other things to the YouTube channel. Chris, I'm actually going to ask you if we would want to put your Corpse Party playthrough on there, since it does relate to the podcast.
I think we could do that. I didn't record it outright, but the VODs are there. We could
the VODs are there. We could just download them and then re-upload them to YouTube. Or
I could probably edit out some of the like BRB screens and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah, no,
sure.
I think that's a fair ask.
Cool. All right. Awesome. If not the end of the world, but I think that'd be a cool little bonus for starting this YouTube channel. So
yeah.
In the future, we'll want to do more with it. Don't know what that looks like yet, but at least you can go to listen to the episodes there. We're not going to have any additional video content in those videos yet. It is going to be primarily our album art and the episode playing over that currently. So yeah, exciting times. We can move on to our next goal, which I believe is another $100 away.
You know what? I was so excited about hitting the first goal. I didn't check on what the next one is.
I forgot about it. It's been 10 weeks.
It has
11 weeks.
Let's see. Our next goal is not on this page.
It's the $200 tier. We will have a weekly Twitch stream dedicated to one of the procedurally generated games for that week.
You did it. I guess we should probably caveat too. Technically, if you look at the procedurally generated page, it says we're at $96 per month.
Yes.
We made an exception.
Yeah. So technically we are at like 112 or something, but there's fees associated with Patreon. I just wanted to get this over the goal line for us. So I put my foot down and I said, we are at 100.
Yep. And I took him by the knee and I pushed down when he put his foot down, because I was putting his foot down at the same time.
Chris, I would like to ask you to never grab me by the knee again. I understand the importance of that motion.
That's my mistake. Jack laughs hysterically when I do it to him. I guess it's not cool.
He always puts his foot down.
I do. I grab him by the knee and it's he loses his mind. Okay. Well, now I know. Now I know. Okay.
Most kids do. Anyway,
every relationship needs boundaries. Now we know.
That's it. Just my knee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our big news for the podcast system.
Yes. Very exciting. Love to see that goal fall. Hopefully, as time goes on, we'll see more goals fall. So, but you've had a busy week.
I have.
Have you had a chance to play any of these video games?
Any of these ones for this week or
No,
in general?
just any video games in general.
No, not really. I played
No.
I played some World of Warcraft last night to decompress, but
There you go.
and some Magic. Those are like my usual go-tos. Not really gonna talk about those too much again. But yeah, I had to go out of town for the weekend for a family emergency. So
Yes.
New Year's and stuff was celebrated in a different state, and had I saw some family, which is great. Circumstances not so much, but we are back home, and hopefully I can start playing some more stuff this week. I do have the East 9 demo downloaded. I'm very excited to try that out. Monstrum Nox, which comes out in like a month.
Wow, that is soon.
It is February 11th on PS4. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to diving into that. And I can't think of what else I might play soon. There's probably a few things, but
yeah,
I'll figure it out.
I mean, I don't have a game coming out that I'm looking forward to until the end of January, so it's kind
Is
of
that like
good
Hitman?
backlog time.
You a Hitman
no, it's
man?
actually The Medium.
Oh yeah, The Medium. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which I keep wanting to say The Median, and then I'm like,
it's just about like the middle of a road,
right?
And it's just like the barrier.
I jump in, like, I don't think this is the right game. This is boring.
I knew you were a Forza fan, but come on.
There's just a bunch of trash in this. I don't
You
understand.
love racing games. It's like, will this car hit the median?
No, this one missed.
Today the day?
It's a visual novel. It's weird.
It's just the median talking to cars as they go by.
It's another rush hour. Ah, jeez.
Oh boy.
That's what medians sound like. Anyways, yeah, so that's all I've got. So it's a good time for me to get caught up on my backlog. So
yeah, which you did play an entire game since last week as well. That wasn't Corpse Party.
I did, yeah. In the time I beat Corpse Party, I also beat another game, Godfall.
I've heard of that.
Yes.
I've talked about that.
You've dabbled. Yes,
I own that. I've played some.
True. You actually, yes, you played this before I played this, and then it came up on my list, and I was like, well, I guess we're gonna dive right in.
This is happening.
Godfall was on sale. I think the sale actually ended today, the day of recording on the 5th. Normally 70 was down to 52.
I'm sure it will be on sale again.
Yes, and my advice to anybody who wants to play this game is to probably wait for a sale. It had. Totally. I've given this exact analogy about 1,000 times because there's a lot of people that were very curious about this game. I had tons of new people coming into my Twitch channel, which is awesome. Love it.
There were a lot,
but
you're right.
For a game that has not been out very long, I was the #1 streamer for it.
Yep.
Which helps push people into a channel. Also surprising that a game this new has me as the #1 streamer with about 30 viewers.
Yeah.
So this game, Godfall, this is my quick and dirty, haven't played the whole thing. It is a combination of Destiny, very Destiny-ish, Dark Souls, For Honor, and what's the other one? Hold on. Give it to me.
God of War. God of War. But I don't quite get your For Honor comparison.
Just because of the it's basically only handheld combat. Hand to hand. You can throw your shield. That's the extent. Like Dark Souls, I could use Dark Souls, but Dark Souls also has magic and things like that. I thought the combat felt. I haven't played a lot of For Honor, but the combat did feel pretty similar to that.
It's a dope game.
I
like For Honor.
The massively multiplayer aspect of it didn't do it for me. So I didn't spend a lot of time in there, but I can see. But that's kind of why I think it's one to pull from.
Yeah, I'd say the other one is Warframe, in that you can switch your.
That's actually probably a better. Yeah, that's probably a better.
The body that your character's in. But,
yeah, you have,
but not to the extent of Warframe. Like, I don't know. There's a lot that changes between your character in Warframe that I don't think changes as much in Godfall.
Well, and that was the thing. Playing through the entire game, I unlocked, I think 11. I think there's 12 of the Valorant plates. I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah, Valorant plates. Yep.
Valorant plates, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I unlocked 11 of the 12. The last one I could have unlocked, I realized I probably should have, because I probably could have popped a trophy or something for it. But
You still can.
I could, yes. The game is still, I still own it.
It still exists. It did not disintegrate within your hard drive.
So I could have done that, but I never, I just kind of willy-nilly switched between them, and I never really felt any reason why. They never felt different from one another for me, and maybe that's just how I play. If you go into it, I'm sure there are differences.
And I think a lot of it has to do with like what elements each one has, or like, oh, this one's better for soul shattering. Yeah, soul shattering. This one's better for poison. This one's better for electric damage. But
yeah,
like,
and they're with Asher's Fury, Ash Athron's. I don't remember their main
like it's like
special that you
berserker mode
trigger
or whatever.
Yeah, they're L3 R3. If you push them at the same time, they get this like special that kicks in, and those are very different between one another.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, they're just they're characters that they all are named the main character Orin. They all have different voices, but they are the same entity. That was a little strange. But what I was saying about the those 4 games that it takes after Godfall is not as good as any of those games.
Yep,
It
that
looks
sounds right.
It looks it's a gorgeous looking game.
It is,
but I had some pretty big technical issues, which I'm surprised this far out of launch that I'm still having the problem. The game actually crashed twice on me today, and it's crashed one other time, so it's crashed a total of 3 times. Every time has happened in the middle or very end of a mission, which has then caused me to have to restart the mission. There's no checkpoints within a mission. I also had this really annoying issue. It would only start up maybe an hour after playing a single session, where my frame rate would be consistent, but every once in a while it would just stop for about a half second and then continue like nothing happened.
I would stop playing at that point.
It was so annoying. Because it was literally long enough for an enemy to maybe start to show an attack, and then by the time the frame rate kicked in again, he was hitting me.
Yeah,
and I could still kind of dodge. I still had functionality, but the screen just wouldn't move. It got worse the longer I played. So if I went for 2 hours or 3 hours, that lag seemed to be a little bit longer toward the end of a play session.
I wonder if there's like some sort of a memory leak or something that's happening.
Yeah, I don't know, because I thought there's a on PS5 there is a setting for performance, and there is a setting for I think it's just quality.
Yeah.
And if you knock quality as your option, the frame rate drops to 30, and that game is borderline insufferable at 30 FPS. It's
like
too hard.
Most things when you switch from 60 to 30.
Yeah. Well, and then
everything looks like
it's
moving in slow motion, and it looks like there's a bunch of ghosting that's happening.
And it didn't fix the issue, because then you just have bad frame rate, and you'd have
that's what I had suggested. I looked it up, and they're like, "Oh, I think it's just performance mode." Apparently, it's not.
No. So no, but we ended up beating the game. I mean, I have a kind of an overall idea of what was happening in the story, but the story is presented the same way Destiny is, which some people like that. I do not care for it. I think that the story is tough to follow. It's bits and pieces kind of presented at different times, awkward timing of the storytelling, the repetitive nature that people talked about when I was playing. The first couple of days, I didn't notice it so much. I noticed it a lot in the end. Just having to get these sigils to unlock the next mission to move on to do, to do the thing. And it was just, overall, it's a very average game. It could get better with some updates. I don't know anything about the end game. Some people said that the end game is actually really good. I unlocked the Dreamstones. None of it sounded enticing to me, but that's who I am as a player. So
sure.
Wait for a sale. Wait for it to be on PS Plus, because that seems like a PS Plus game. But yeah, that's
maybe
the other game.
Play on PC where a sale might be deeper. Who knows?
That's also true. It is on Epic as well. So,
It
and that's
is.
timed exclusive. It should make it to Steam eventually.
Totally.
So,
Cool.
and then obviously Final Fantasy 14. We're starting some new games tomorrow since we both wrapped up both those games today.
Uh-huh.
So, looking forward to those. We're playing some Super Mario RPG and we're playing some Astro's
Yes.
Playroom.
Yes.
So, we got
You've got some good ones
yeah, we
coming
do.
up.
That's right. Had to kind of sift through some stuff to get there, but we got there.
Yeah. Good. Excellent.
So yeah. I don't think we have much of a community session to speak of for this week.
No, not that I can think of. Well, I've also been very, very distracted for the last
Yes,
week.
you
So,
have had a lot of stuff going on.
um,
I've been kind of paying attention to what's been coming in, but
new year, new community. We're getting rid of our old community. We're pulling in new ones. I'm sorry, Timmy.
yes, that's what you get for listening to our show
We
every
we toss
episode
you away
twice.
every year. You have to resubscribe.
So, but yeah, no, we obviously are looking forward to 2021. And you guys can help us by whatever app you're listening on, leaving us a positive review. If it's iTunes, a 5-star review. If it's one of the other apps that have a different rating mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
that helps. That helps a lot. Word of
If
mouth
it,
helps, but it also the ratings. The higher the rating, the better chance it gets recommended to new people. So
if you'd like to jump into our Discord and just spam thumbs ups or thumbs down in the chat to let us know how we're doing,
Mhm.
that's also maybe a little bit trolly and spammy, but it's feedback and we'll take it.
Yes, no, we definitely want to hear what you guys think of the show. I think I feel even going from the 5 stars to the 5 stars, even go from the 5 games to the 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a weird like rejuvenation. Like
Oh,
I'm
totally.
just fired up. I feel so much better about the content that we create now.
Less
Um,
grindy
it's just
for sure.
it's weird, just something like that. Something it's kind of subtle, but it just makes for a better headspace. So but yes, if you guys enjoy the shows, please leave us a review. If you want to reach out and you want to be a part of the show, reach out to us on patreon.com/procedurally generated. Our Twitter is PG_show. Email pgshowinbox@gmail.com. We have our Discord link below. And now you can comment on YouTube. The YouTube link will also be shared below. Obviously, it's procedurally generated. I don't have too much else, John. How about you?
No, that's all for updates and for games, and hopefully I'll be playing more in the next week. But hey, we've got some fun stuff to talk about today.
We sure do.
Some weird some weird some weird games.
I can't
Uh,
claim this. Oh shoot, John, you can't either. But we tried. I was going to say this is the first week that one of us would have been able to play all 3 of the games we have featured on this, but
oh,
not in the
I mean,
cards.
I've played all almost all three. The final one I've played previous versions of these of that
Oh, you
game.
have. Okay.
I've played since it is like the last in a series. I've played the first few in that series, but
Gotcha.
also it's been 20 years or
Okay.
longer since I have.
Well, let's get into our first game.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game developed by Adhesive Games, published by Meteor Entertainment. We've got a first-person mech shooter released in the year 2014, released on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This is a game called Hawken.
Good old Hawken.
Hawken. Just got a Hawken.
Hawken was around a lot in like the discussions for the Xbox One and PS4 generation. Like I felt like we saw a new trailer for that like every year. From like 2012 to 2014. I guess that's only like 3 years, but still like it would come around at like E3 and it's like, "Oh, this is what next gen's going to look like. It's going to look sweet. There's going to be mechs. We're doing a like an arena shooter thing with mechs and it looks awesome." Oh boy, did Hawken land and then just miss.
Yeah, and it. I mean, to its credit, I think the game does look really good.
It looks pretty good.
Hawken fell off my radar the second I heard about it when I knew it was Mechs. Um,
That's what brought it onto my radar. And that's
yeah,
why I know we are two different people.
yeah, exactly. I saw Mechs and I'm like, nope. I don't have an interest. Especially this would have been. I mean, this would have been shown off before Titanfall.
I don't know. Was Titanfall just Xbox One? I don't know why I muted my mic then.
That was an
Just
interesting way to cut yourself off. Yes, it was just Xbox One.
Okay.
So if that would have been 2014 for Titanfall, I don't remember seeing anything leading up to. I wasn't interested in Titanfall until I saw the first-person shooter aspect, like boots on the ground,
Yes.
and then I became more interested. But if it would have been just mechs, I wouldn't have been interested. And so Hawken predated that a little bit. And yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
this is what I was thinking of. Titanfall was on 360. It's ported by Bluepoint.
oh, was it on 360? Oh, wait, there was some issues with that.
There were.
Yeah.
There absolutely were.
That's right.
But I remember that being like a cross-gen thing. I'm like, was that just 360 or was it Xbox One as well? But yeah, you're right. It was primarily Xbox One, but that 360 version was kind of messy. And I'm glad Bluepoint ended up how they ended up, as a very good
Yeah.
remake studio. Anyways,
Hawken. Yes. Sorry. Yes. We're talking
Hawken.
about Hawken. But that is why
Hawken.
I think this game, I didn't know anything about it. In fact, it's a free to play game, which is kind of important, which makes it even more surprising that I knew nothing about it because I like free.
Unless they're mobile games.
Unless they're.
What's more mobile than giant robots with legs?
Probably still a lot of things.
Airplanes.
I just wouldn't imagine that to be
babies.
A human being on the ground with legs. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, sure.
But let's go into the quick description of what Hawken is. So Hawken is a free-to-play multiplayer only first-person shooter that puts the player inside a mechanized war machine on different battlefields. The mechs have several upgrades of useful items and weapons, and the improvements can be unlocked by progression or buying. It's weird the amount of times that they reference the ability to use real money to get things in this description, by the way. The gameplay is fast-paced action with strategy elements and various game modes that offer both regular duels and matches with territorial objectives, deathmatch, team deathmatch, missile assault, siege, and co-op bot destruction.
It's from a certain time, if you hadn't noticed.
It is, yes.
When it was very, very cool. Everyone loved free-to-play games with real money that you could spend.
Yes. So this game definitely took advantage of that.
Totally. Sure did. Yeah, so Hawken released on PC originally, later came to Xbox One and PS4. The odd thing is the PC version no longer exists.
Right.
Hawken got passed around a little bit. Yeah, so it was in beta in 2012. Released on PC in 2014. 2015, the game was actually sold to Reloaded.
Reloaded Games, yep.
Reloaded Games, which is a studio that was handling APB, All Points Bulletin, which is a free-to-play MMO that was like a GTA contender or competition for GTA, which it really wasn't. Let's be real here.
It tried, but
it sure tried. I feel like APB comes up a lot in this podcast.
It weirdly does. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't leave that much of an imprint on the industry, but apparently it did.
So once Reloaded Games got a hold of Hawken, they got a shot at like kind of reestablishing its monetary formula, doing some like rebalancing and like tweaking some UI stuff, and making a more palatable game overall. They were also able to release it on PS4 and Xbox One. But then a year later, that's when the game was taken over by Hawken Entertainment and 505 Games, which I can't find anything on Hawken Entertainment at all, other than they exist. And I don't know like what they've done with the game since, other than closing down the PC version on January 2nd, 2018.
Yeah, and I mean that might be all they're doing right now is just, I guess, maintaining servers for the PS4 and Xbox One edition, which I had a chance to get in and play. It's
Same.
still alive. I don't think that I played a real person.
No, I don't think I did either. If you look at like all the names in there, they're all they're all just like
serial
letters
numbers
and numbers that like spell things, but like not in a way that a real person did it.
We should have
for
planned
like their
this
own
better.
gamer tag.
We should have partied up.
I mean, we should have, but I don't want to.
You had a busy week. That's okay.
I mean, you were playing Godfall today.
I was
playing Hawken.
True.
Yeah. So just a weird transition for Hawken from like this super promising looking shooter at the beginning of a generation to just like completely falling flat and being like passed around to two different developers, and potentially just being a dead game currently.
Yeah. Looking at, I was looking at Gamasutra and I saw a couple of articles and I think it showed the promise of Hawken and why it was so promising. So, the original trailer, which wasn't even a trailer, it was basically kind of a mock-up demo of the game, was actually released in 2011. It looked really good. The team had actually released a trailer prior to this for a project called Project Offset, which I had never heard of this before.
I haven't either. Oh, maybe
it was supposed to be kind of an epic fantasy game. And I've attached the trailer in the Discord for both the original the 2011 trailer for Hawken, and I've also attached the trailer for Project Offset just to kind of show you guys kind of the full picture. But this trailer looked really cool. The rights to the game were actually acquired by Intel, and then the game was never released. So there was excitement around that project, disappointment that it never came out. So this was the next project that they'd moved on with, and this was the when they released the 2011 trailer. It had visuals that kind of, it gave people an idea of what next gen could look like, before next gen was even a thing. This is 2011. New consoles released in 2013, 2014. At the time?
2013.
2013.
So I'm watching this trailer right now. I 1000% remember this.
You do remember it? It starts as kind of like a very tech demo-y thing, and then it moves into some actual gameplay, and then I think
and it's still like tech demo-y still. Like,
so it was,
there's an ogre. The ogre looks very ogre-y. Like there's a lot of focus on like materials. Like, so the ogre's wearing metal armor, and the metal like looks metallic and is shiny, and there's a big hallway of like with pillars, but like anything in the background is just like pure white light. So they're kind of like showing off their lighting engine, and the lights like shining off the armor. I definitely was excited for Offset when this trailer came out, but that definitely wasn't a thing.
Never saw the light of day.
Nope. The light of the hallway.
When development started on this, they actually only had a group of 5 people. And I might have to double check this, but the trailer that was released was completed with just those 5 people. The when they started development, though, they didn't know what they wanted to make. Again, this is taken directly from an interview with the creator, which I don't even think I wrote down his name. I will grab that before we're done talking. But they decided to go sci-fi for a couple of reasons, despite them having started a fantasy game prior. It's easier, apparently, to make a sci-fi game. I got to learn a little bit here, because in sci-fi you can use repeatable textures on a more regular basis. When you do
Sure.
fantasy, he pulled the example of using fantasy. You can't reuse the same broken pillar over and over and over again, because that's more noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you live in a sci-fi world, that is more acceptable, because that's
Things are
just how it
manufactured
is.
and
Yeah. The
completed, and yeah.
yeah. So they also took the perspective of designing the world from far away. So the game looks amazing from far away, but if you actually take the time to get up close and zoom in on things, you'll see that there's actually not as much detail there as it looks from far away. And that was able to give them a better looking game from the perspective that most players would see. The other reason why they went this route is because they actually only had one animator on the team, and it is and it makes sense. It is a lot easier to animate for a mech than it is to animate for a human being,
Yeah.
especially several human beings. So make a couple. It's either easier to implement those very stiff animatronic movements than something that's more human like. So
Right.
that's kind of how they established what direction they were going to take.
It's like in movies, if you see special effects for characters that aren't human, they always look more natural than characters that are human. Because we see humans, we know how humans move and react. We know the nuances. With things that are fake, our brain doesn't have that pre-coded. At least not as much
Yeah.
for like your perception of a Mac. So yeah, that makes sense. I did find the dude's name. It
Yes.
is Kang Lee.
Yes, that's who it is. Yes.
Yes, he was the concept artist for Project Offset,
Yeah.
and
And
moved on to be part of Adhesive.
yeah, and I believe actually
I'm
and
sorry,
he
he founded Adhesive.
found
Excuse me.
Adhesive. He actually went on to then work for that game company, which
Oh, cool.
we could
Very cool.
probably discuss at the
Later.
near the end here. Yeah, I just wanted to. I think I have that article. Yes, I do have that article also in the Discord. So if you guys would like to read that article, it's a very interesting article. Um, it doesn't go super deep in the woods with developer speak, but it does give an idea of why they went the direction that they went. Hawken also played a very important role. Again, I was not maybe privy to this because the technology didn't interest me at the time, but Hawken was featured heavily on when showcasing Oculus Rift VR headsets.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't realize that, but there was tons of articles that I saw that referenced seeing Hawken in VR,
Yes. Yep.
which makes sense. So
Yeah, since it had 3D cockpits and all that. Yeah, Hawken in VR, and also there were some, I want to say, NVIDIA physics tech demos that they were like implementing more physics stuff into Hawken that didn't really necessarily see the light of day.
okay,
So, yeah, Hawken was a go-to game for tech demos, because obviously it was visually impressive. It was a fast-paced mech combat game. That looked cool, that people were excited about.
yeah. How did you think it played when you played it? Did you think it felt okay?
Yeah, I would need to get used to the controls. With
Yeah.
like, since they have like bumper jumping and
I
your
didn't even know you could jump in that game. I was
yeah
desperate to find a jump
left
button.
left bumper is your jump.
God,
Uh,
I was stuck in a little canal, just
I,
getting
I
picked
was watching
apart by
I
people.
was watching a video, like I think it was like the PS4 launch trailer or something, and they're like, Hawken was made with console development in mind. So everything's very natural. It's like they showed like a picture of a controller. They're like, we used every button on the controller. Every button does something. It's just like this whole map of like what every button is and what every button does. I'm like, yep, it sure does. Just like any other game, most shooters use every button.
Yes, please use them all. We're very familiar with them.
And they did point out, they're like bumper jumpers for the win. Yeah. It's also of a time.
A couple like kind of wrap up notes that I have for the game itself. So with the PC game being taken offline, a group of fans who call themselves the Awakening, Awakening,
Awakening, I think.
Awakening, yeah, have revived the offline version of the PC game and promise to soon recover multiplayer functions as well. So they are working on actually bringing it back as a fan project.
Yeah. The main crux of it is people who own the Steam version, they say that there's a law that if you have a license for a game that has a single player component, people can mod in ways to play that single player stuff. If the game is shut down server wise, and that's usually the only way to play it is if it's connected to the server.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to find how to. Well, I think they've mostly figured out how to do it. There's that website awakening.com, but they are in talks with 505 about doing more, or if 505 is okay with them doing this in the first place. Which, I'm actually really surprised that the PC version's the one that shut down.
Right,
And
that was surprising to me as well.
And I guess it's because they are using hosted servers.
Okay.
And it's not like peer-to-peer, like people aren't making their own servers like you would with a different arena shooter, like, I don't know, like a Unreal tournament. Usually people can make their own servers for that kind of thing, but not for Hawken, I guess. Yeah.
And then the only other kind of interesting tidbit I found was actually from 2012, that there was a film supposedly in the works,
Yes.
For Hawken, with director Scott Waugh tied to it. And Scott Waugh was the director of Act of Valor. But that was announced in 2012 with no updates, I don't think. And is very likely not coming.
I feel like the opening movie for Hawken had like people that you would recognize in it. I'm trying to think who.
I didn't recognize anybody, but I do remember
I saw, like,
being
Alan
a live
Cumming
action.
In there.
What was he in?
He was Nightcrawler in the X-Men movies.
Oh,
like the old X-Men movies.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
No. I mean, he's been in a lot. Yeah, that Nightcrawler.
It's like, ugh.
That's the one you think of when you hear Nightcrawler?
Yeah, I'm not a big X-Men guy.
Okay, all right. Jesus Christ.
It's more recent, top of mind. What do you want from me?
It's true. You're right. So I wonder if some of the remnants from that got like, yeah, we'll just do this for the opening movie. We'll throw some money at it because it looks pretty nice. It looks like it had some production value to it.
Wow.
One thing I did find was, I googled the term "what happened to Hawken," and found this Reddit post from 5 years ago, also titled "What happened to Hawken." The first comment on it is from a Reddit user named Zacius, who was a top ranked Hawken player from about quarter to 2013 to when they stopped playing in mid 2014. They participated in development. They drove to the studio twice. And was very active on the forums with feedback, and they were helping the main server guy test the server rental backend that never amounted to an actual service, it said. Now, what they say were the problems with Hawken were it took too long for them to figure out the game's mechanics. They kept on switching whether it was like supposed to be a fast-paced shooter or if it was supposed to be slower like a mech warrior. Also, the people who had been playing Hawken longer had a massive uh uh they had a massive advantage over newer players. Where like he states that leveled mechs could shoot 10% faster, move 15% faster, and have 20% more armor.
Oh, yeah.
Like quite a bit,
That's a
quite a
big
bit of
deal.
a big like it's not just like, oh, you have access to different guns. It's no, like the actual, like if you use the same guns, the same mechs, you would have a better mech. Um, which isn't fun for an arena shooter where things are supposed to be a more level playing field. Um, they had a lot of server issues. So there's a lot of lag on the server where if you were firing a missile, it would show that you were on cooldown, but the missile never fired. Um, just a lot of weird little issues like that. There was he complained about a speed cap for turning with your mouse. But I mean, if you're in a mech, I would say if different mechs would have different turning radiuses and turning speeds, so that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And then he also said that they spent way too much time on technological gimmicks like the Oculus Rift support and the NVIDIA physics stuff that never really got into the game. So, um, yeah, there were balancing issues. There's a bunch of just issues where higher ranked players started to fall off pretty quickly, just because the game wasn't supported or balanced well. So maybe that's what happened to Hawken. I don't know,
Yeah. I mean,
but
those you can't scare away new players by having something that is too difficult when you first jump in. You gotta
also, especially in the time where you are promoting using real money to get stuff in the game.
right. Yes, not a good look.
People love pay to win, right?
Yeah.
That's everyone's favorite. So, yeah, there's not much about like what the actual failings were for Hawken, but that's the closest I could find.
Okay. The we talked about adhesive Hawken adhesive being the original developer. Hawken was
Yes.
their only release, and that's all that they've done since then. But I wanted to real quickly. There's not too much to really discuss regarding it, but let me grab this real quick. So Kong Lee, like you said, was the creative director. The technical director was Jonathan Kreutzer, and both of them actually went on to that game company. So that game company is a very well respected indie studio, responsible for Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Responsible for he wasn't there for Journey. The game that he helped out with was their most recent one, Sky Children of
Sky.
Light.
Yeah,
Is that what
yeah,
it's called? It was
yeah.
the
That's
mobile
the mobile
offering.
game. Yeah.
Um, which I don't know exactly how that game's doing. It's I don't know too much about it. I know it was a weird decision to go mobile, at least from my perspective. But
I mean, it's you get the most people when you go mobile.
that is true. I mean, from a developer perspective, I suppose that makes sense. It's just I don't know. It's one of those things where it almost seems. It
Oh,
seems.
Sky's also on Switch.
Is it on Switch? Oh, okay. I guess
It's
I
on
didn't know
Switch.
that it released there. So okay. But
Actually, it's coming in spring 2021, so it's not there yet,
okay.
but it will be. Thank you, research.
You did it.
I did it.
But they also had that game company is also known for Flower and Flow, which came out
Mm-hmm.
prior to Journey. So, we'll see how things go with that game company. But that's where Kong Lee and is it Jonathan Kreitzer? I think it was Jonathan.
I think that's what you
Jonathan
said.
Kreitzer. Yeah, that's where they ended up. So,
Great.
um, in terms of critical reception, the PC and the Xbox One versions both sit at a 73 on Metacritic, with the PS4 version, strangely, sitting at a 58. So maybe not as stunning on PS4. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a weird
That's odd.
split, especially when the Xbox and the PC versions sit at the exact same. But the PC fan score sits at a 7.7, Xbox One 6.9, and the PS4 version also 5.8. So I don't know. It could be. I'm not sure what would cause that, but it also sits at a weak open critic rating with a top critic average of 55 and 40% of critics recommending. That's all I have on Hawken.
Yeah, I don't have anything else either. Just I wish it was a game that was better. Like
Yeah.
it. I mean, I played one round of it, and I understood what it was doing right away, and it seemed fine. And there's a ton of different mechs in that game, and a ton of different customizations you could do. You could kind of do the mech role playing of I'm a small and fast mech, or I'm a big sturdy mech with big guns. You could tell by like the health bars and stuff of the different mechs of like, oh, this one's definitely going to be like more of a scout. I could take that thing down easier just from the size of their health bar. And I think that's a neat choice for the UI to point that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some neat stuff going on there. If you do want to try it out, it is free on PS4 and Xbox One. Take a look. There's probably better mech shooters out there. Titanfall.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Titanfall
just
2.
it.
Play Titanfall 2.
I wonder if it's not. I wonder if this just isn't. Again, I thought the game, for being a very early stab at next gen at the time, next gen title, I thought it was competent enough. But I wonder if it isn't just also attributed to the fact that Titanfall ate its lunch. I mean, the fact that it had
It did and it didn't.
well,
Titanfall also kind of fell flat
well,
right
I think
away.
Titanfall was. I think Titanfall had a lot of issues because of its lack of single player, the multiplayer only aspect. But that's exactly what Hawken is, and I would say that Titanfall did it better, and they were only released a month apart. Hawken was out
True.
in February, Titanfall was out in March. Titanfall, I think. Well, I mean, I guess Hawken had its build up, but Titanfall, for me personally, was on my radar a lot more than Hawken, and I don't
Right.
know if it's
Well,
Respawn being responsible for Titanfall, and that's what it was, but it just feels like maybe Hawken was overshadowed by Titanfall, which
I
had.
think it was also Respawn being behind Titanfall, because there's a lot of talk about the the Infinity Ward developers split off and they started their own studio, and they're
Yeah.
doing this mech combat game where you're also on foot as a regular soldier, and you can do parkour, and it's very fast paced and futuristic, and we're doing storytelling differently, and also it was something that, while we had heard about the Respawn stuff happening for a while, Titanfall was, I think, pretty quick to like be announced and come out. So it's like Hawken was on people's minds for a good 2.5 years before it actually released. Whereas I want to say Titanfall was maybe a few months
Okay.
that we knew
Yeah,
about
I
it.
guess I
So
don't remember much about the lead up to Titanfall, but I thought it was kind of coincidental that both of these big mech online multiplayer games released that close to one another.
yeah,
And for some reason, Titanfall just stands out as the game that I remember more from that era than Hawken.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, that's more character. Titanfall was announced at E3 2013.
okay, so
So
about 9-10 months before release.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
All right. Well, should we take a break?
Sure.
Awesome. Let's
Right.
let's take a couple minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Part 2 of episode 10 of Procedurally Generated. John, did you have a good break?
Yeah, I sat here,
Awesome.
watched some TV, just looked over some notes. And that was
Perfect.
it. That was my
Perfect.
break.
You did it. I went up and I made sure Jack went to bed fine. The timing could not have been better.
Perfect.
We laid him down and away he went. And then I had a piece of string cheese.
Perfect.
Just want to make sure that you guys know what I do when I'm not around.
What kind of string cheese is it? Is it just like straight up string cheese? Is it smoked? Is it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually being disingenuous. I had the option
Oh,
for string
oh,
cheese.
yep.
I instead had like
Caught you.
a stick of marble jack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's actually that's better.
yeah. It is.
That is
It's
better.
the thing is it's not stringable. The
No,
consistency does not allow you to string the cheese.
and that's
So
fine. But like Marble Jack is a better cheese than
also true.
string cheese.
Yeah, it is. So it was delicious. I also had a
Good.
couple grapes.
Good. Yesterday when I was at the store, I was looking for like semi healthy-ish snacks, and I got like some hummus and pretzel cups.
Family size bag of Doritos.
Bottle of Jack.
Right.
And then I got some like some beef sticks with cheese pairings.
Ooh,
So I got
you
one
did the right
that
thing.
was just like mild cheddar or maybe a medium cheddar. I can't remember. It's a cheddar of some
I
sort.
like me a good
And then
sharp cheddar.
the other one was pepper jack. So
Okay,
it's delicious.
good.
Yeah. Hey, cheese sticks are great.
Cheese is good.
I am from the land
Anyways.
of cheese, so
You are,
I
yes.
second that.
I hate cheese. No.
Stupid cheese.
I don't know.
I think actually, doesn't California produce more cheese than Wisconsin?
They do have the happiest cows. If the
That's what those
commercials
commercials say.
to be believed.
It's because they're baked.
The cows are baked?
The cows are baked. They feed the cows the
Oh,
marijuana.
I get it. Okay.
They have the
all right.
munchies.
I was like, I mean, it
That's
gets
not
hot in
true.
California. Yeah, I
That's
guess.
not true.
I don't know. The logic works for me.
I believe technically Wisconsin's like really big on raspberries.
That
I
would
think
be news to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyways, there's your Wisconsin facts for
There
today.
it is. We did it. How about we take a look at game number 2?
Yeah, game number 2.
John, you have a little bit of
if you do not mind,
a little sweet spot for this one, don't you?
Game number 2.
I just want to say it. I just want to take it away from you.
It's a game that I've been playing since the mid-90s. It's one of my favorite games of all time. This is like when you talked about Final Fantasy during our second episode.
I'm excited for you.
It's we're lucky this is falling on episode 10 because in Roman numerals 10 is X. This is Mega Man X. Rockman X for our Japanese listeners. It was released in Japan in December 1993. It's released in North America in January 1994, which is a very short localization time. They really punched both of those out at the same time. Mega Man X is the first Mega Man game for the Super Nintendo. Codenamed Super Rockman. It is it's the spiritual successor to the Mega Man series.
Yes, developed by Capcom, published by Capcom.
Yes. Sorry, I always get excited when I do this
I was figuring there might if there was ever a time to make sure I pulled you back and reined you in, that this would be the time. So for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with Mega Man, I'm going to call it a 2D side-scrolling platformer. Is that fair? Or
I'd say so.
Okay.
Action platformer.
Okay, got it.
They call them like a one-touch death game, I think. Let me find the phrasing on that.
Okay, that would just confuse me because that's not how it works. While you find the phrasing on that, it is also released on DOS, iPad, iPhone, new Nintendo 3DS, SNES, Wii, and Wii U, and also Doja, but I don't know what Doja is.
I don't know either.
So
And it's also on the Super Nintendo Classic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Did you say PC?
I said not PC. I should have said. Should I have said PC?
It came out on Windows years
There you go.
ago, bundled with like a 6-button controller.
Well,
Very weird.
was that the DOS version? No, it
Maybe.
was the Windows version. All my research was on Windows version. Why didn't I write down the Windows version? I'm dumb.
How dare you?
I know.
How dare
We did
you?
draw the new Nintendo 3DS version, but
Which is very weird.
it is weird.
Anyways, Mega Man
Yeah.
X was the supposed to be this bigger, better Mega Man. Obviously, moving from NES to Super Nintendo, there is there's more colors you can use. There's bigger sprites you can use. There's a lot more stuff you can do. They wanted to make I wanted to make a slightly different kind of Mega Man. Keiji Inafune wanted to originally make the character of Zero, who looks like Mega Man. He's red. He has a long blonde ponytail. He has like a green plasma saber. He's very cool looking. He's awesome. Everyone loved Zero, but they weren't sure how people would react to someone who didn't look like Mega Man as the hero. So they turned Zero into one of the side characters who ended up being a protagonist in later games anyways, because he's awesome. The structure of Mega Man X is pretty similar to the original Mega Man games. There are 8 stages that you can select between. You can play them in any order. They're all themed after their bosses. The bosses will, as you defeat the bosses, they give you powers that are like what the bosses have. Like Storm Eagle gives you a tornado that you could shoot out. Why am I blanking on other names for these characters? Yeah, so you can play through those at any order. As you finish those 8 levels, you go into like the end game, which are the Sigma levels. Those are super difficult platforming and like combat levels. You fight the bosses all over again. Once you know the weaknesses for each of the bosses that come, oh, there's a rock paper scissors element to Mega Man games. Chris, you're not a big Mega Man guy, correct?
I am not a big Mega Man guy, but I did know that there's maybe I'm wrong, but there with these games there's kind of there's a logical progression, but
There
it's
is.
only a progression that you can understand once you get to know a little bit more about the boss character you're fighting, right?
Right.
Every
Right. And
boss has
it's
a strength against another boss's weakness.
correct.
Okay.
And some of them aren't necessarily apparent, I guess. Like there's a boss called Chill Penguin. There's another boss called Flame Mammoth. If you beat Chill Penguin, you get an ice power. Flame Mammoth is not weak to Chill Penguin.
That would okay. That would throw me for a loop.
But the thing that they do with Mega Man X is if you beat a level or a different level, sometimes other actual levels are affected. So if you beat Chill Penguin, Flame Mammoth's level that's usually full of lava and dangerous fiery stuff is rendered inert. So there's different places you can get to in the level. It's just easier to get through.
Okay.
They also added it as like the original Mega Man games. Like you can get the different powers from the different bosses, but they also have different armor pieces that you can get from Mega Man. So the easiest one to get to is in Chill Penguin stage. It's one that you actually find on the main path, and that is for your dash boots. Which is a pretty big change from traditional Mega Man. It allows you to dash forward and actually, as you're dashing, if you jump, you can jump higher. You could dash under stuff. I guess it's similar to the slide that you had in Mega Man, but not quite the same. But there's also a helmet upgrade that lets you break through certain bricks. I think it does something else too. Trying to think of what it is. There is a gun upgrade that will let you charge your special weapons, which will then shoot out in a different way from the traditional special weapons. That tornado that I mentioned before, which would just shoot out in front of you in like a cylinder, will kind of surround you and be a vertical attack and be a lot bigger. There's a lot of cool variations on those stuff. Chill Penguins, I think, is it makes like an ice platform that you can jump on and ride through the level.
I just want to say, based on the name Chill Penguin, I don't want any harm to befall this man.
Hey, he's very easy to beat.
He seems like he's
a chill penguin, man.
Like,
He's a
what are
chill
we doing?
penguin.
What are we doing here? What is Mega Man about, really? What is this?
Well, Mega Man's about when the workers rise up. Mega Man has to come and quell the fury. well, typically, like the bosses are workers in different kinds of habitats in the world, and sometimes they go bad, and that's when Mega Man is sent in to take care of them. So, like, if you look at older Mega Man games, there's like Woodman, who's like takes care of the woods, and then like Flame Man takes care of the heating in the city and whatnot. I'm sure I'm getting some of that wrong, but they have societal functions, but sometimes they're turned by a virus like Sigma. Sigma was was he a creation of not Wily?
Is it Dr. Light?
No, so Dr. Light made Mega Man X.
Shoot, that was a stab in the dark. I had no idea.
Yeah. Which fun little thing that I read was Dr. Light named him X because X is a variable that could have any outcome. And therefore, he made his greatest creation, X, something that could basically do anything. Very, very cheesy, but it works because he can and he has taken powers 1,000 times.
So if you had to
do just about anything,
you're obviously familiar with the game. Would you say that this is a top 10 game for you?
For me, yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
Top 5?
Top 10. Probably not top 5.
Right, not top 5. Okay.
Top 10. It's especially with like when nostalgia gets involved.
Oh yeah, then it's too hard to parse
but
out.
This is a game that I can just go and play at any time and just have a good time with it.
Okay.
It never really gets old to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to have those kind of games.
Mm-hmm.
We had mentioned the consoles that it was on, and we left out some big ones, but it's because it's bundled into some things. Mega Man X is part of the Mega Man X collection found on PlayStation 2 and GameCube.
Yep.
And it is also found in the Mega Man X Legacy collection on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PC, and Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
So
which
there
also
are plenty of ways to play this game.
Subsequent Mega Man games. I know a lot of people like 3 more. There's a lot of arguments for a lot of Mega Man X games, but
I'm probably not alone in this, but I've thought for the longest time that it just was 10, and then 10-2 was 12, and
sure.
I just there's no like.
I mean, there are
was
lots of Mega Man games.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was a completely different take because it's set a century after Mega Man, like 22nd century, I think.
21st, I think.
Okay.
It's 20XX. It's when it comes out, or is when it happens.
Okay.
Which, if you've
for Mega Man or Mega Man X,
Mega Man X.
Oh, okay. I must have. Okay,
I think
because I thought the events of Mega Man took place in 20XX. The events of Mega Man X took place in 21XX.
it very well could be.
This is
I'm
very
just
this is very
taking a look
important.
right now
We
because
cannot
there.
possibly screw this up.
So there's a Mega Man X inspired roguelike called 20XX.
Yes, and there's a sequel to that coming out actually.
Yes, which might be 21X. Oh, that's
That was
30XX.
30XX.
30XX. So when does Mega Man X take place? I could be very wrong.
I think I
But
found it on Fandom. So while you can continue to talk, because
mhm,
you have more to share about this game than I do, I will find out if I found it or wrote it down wrong.
sure. So one thing, kind of doing some research for this, I've played this game a million times, so I know quite a bit about like the gameplay and everything, but didn't really know much about the development. And I'd say after researching, I still don't know much about the development of this game. It kind of comes from a time in Japanese game development where things are still a little bit more secretive, where people are using like code names for their credits. Um, and even like Keiji Inafune, who's a designer in the game or designer for the game for the series, wasn't credited in this. I don't think. I feel
I
like I
did
saw
see
that.
him. I don't think I saw him actually. That's a good point. I don't think I saw him on the credits for Moby.
Yeah. On Wikipedia it shows him as there,
Object
but
designers. It does have Keiji Inafune listed, but it also has in parentheses next to him as uncredited. So
uncredited. Yeah, which is very odd. Where he actually so in previous Mega Man games he had done the main character creation and had another designer do the side characters, and in this game they did the opposite. So he did Zero, and some of the other characters. I'm guessing like Sigma, and then another one of his colleagues did the X design. They're worried about X looking a little bit too similar to the original Mega Man, but uh, after a while, they just decided to go with that design, or like he's kind of like a taller, more mature looking Mega Man. He doesn't look like a boy anymore. He looks maybe like a older teenager, early 20s. Everything about this game is a little bit more extra than Mega Man was. The music is a little bit more um, rock oriented. Uh, we'll probably get into this a little bit more later, but there was I don't know if it's a faux development diary in the liner notes for a soundtrack CD. But there's a bunch of like little stories from developers in there, but one of the ones was from the composer Setsuo Yamamoto, and he had done a little bit of composing for Mega Man previously, but not like a ton. And they're like, "Hey, we want you to do Mega Man X." And they're like, "But it's." They're saying like it's Rockman, but it's not Rockman. Like it's Mega Man, but it's different. And he didn't really understand what that meant. And then as he's working on it, he's like, "Oh, I get it. This character is just a badass." So that's where he kind of like took it for the music, where there's a little bit more of a 90s tinge for like the butt rock. It's not quite butt rocky. I think the soundtrack's incredible, but like there's a little bit more attitude to it.
and for the record, I did find in Fandom. It looks like the series is set in the 22nd century, 100 years after the events of the first Mega Man series.
Okay.
So
Well, I guess it is 21XX.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know. It's kind of. And then I went down a rabbit hole of like looking at all of the timeline stuff, and I have to pull myself away because that,
Hey,
even though I don't have any interest in the game, that fascinates me.
that sure is a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Also, you should play these games, Chris.
I probably should. Goodness.
That might be what I spend my channel points on.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I got to write some. I got to. Okay. Wow. Off topic. Okay. I was literally ready to discuss all of the things I just thought about, which had nothing to do with the podcast.
Great.
Yes. Let's see.
Uh,
Go ahead. We have more gameplay, game focused stuff.
Gameplay stuff. Not a ton. The levels are a lot more. They're a lot longer than older X-Men. Wow. Mega Man games were. There's a lot more things like stage destruction. There might have been some of that in previous Mega Man games, but it's more apparent in this. Like enemies dropping like spiked weights on the ground and destroying part of the level, or big like bulldozers going through a level and destroying a bunch of stuff. There's more secrets in the levels, finding like heart containers, like they had e-tanks in the previous games as well, which is where you would store like health or your power up energy, your other special weapon energy. But they also have like the different armor pieces. So like I mentioned before, the dash boots are just mainline in the Chill Penguin stage, but the other ones are hidden. So you do have to kind of go through and find like, oh, the helmet piece is in this one level. You need the helmet piece to get the upgraded X Buster in another level. And then there's a armor piece that lets you take like half damage. It does change the look of X too, which is neat. They said that they wanted to do the armor to incorporate kind of an RPG element, because RPGs were kind of bigger at the time, and they wanted to make it seem like X was equipping stuff to just become better, which is something that they carried forward in future X games. It's a really, really neat concept, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you started throwing out RPG functions, and my ears perk up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
saying the right things.
yeah.
Have you played Mega Man X? Is it Mission Command? It is a JRPG, a turn-based RPG.
Oh man.
Set in the Mega Man X universe. It's for GameCube. I think PS2. Let me see if I can look this up.
Well, while you do that,
yeah.
So the storyline for Mega Man X was actually adapted into 2 mangas. The second iteration,
Very cool.
I thought was interesting. Is adapted by Iwamoto Yoshihiro and published. I spelled published wrong.
Published.
Published.
Classic Chris.
By Comic Bomb Bomb. And this was apparently a much darker take, because this manga featured themes of death, blood. It had cursing, serious emotions, vaguely sexual overtones, and religious symbolism.
Okay.
Which is not something that's, it's hard to present those things in that era of game. I mean, it can be done, but you got to kind of take you got to take a very proactive approach in doing so. Have you seen either of the mangas, or have you looked at those?
I have not.
You've not? Okay.
I have seen the episode of the Mega Man cartoon where X comes from the future to fight one of the characters from Mega Man X.
Would you say that X gonna give it to
He
you.
yes, X gonna give it to you.
I
And
hate myself for saying that.
he's gonna keep giving it to you.
As
For about 8 sequels.
yeah, the urge to say that I
Mhm.
suppressed it for so long, but I'm
Oh,
just a man.
he's been giving it to you.
Yeah.
Until sadly, until Mega Man X8 when that was the last Mega Man X game.
That one doesn't even have a timeline next to it on this page.
Don't worry about it, man.
Okay, I don't want to.
X7, X8, you really
By the
don't
way,
have to worry about them too much.
Mega Man X Command Mission is set in 22XX,
Yes,
and it is non-canon.
that is the JRPG.
Okay,
That's the turn-based RPG. You might like it.
interesting.
Yes,
And so in terms of critical reception for this game,
it's
EGM
great.
actually gave it its Game of the Month in January of 1994. And
Hmm.
I would say, and this is coming from the half of the co-hosts who has never played the game,
Yep,
but I do understand the significance of the game, and I think that it is still much loved. That is why it is
it
on
is.
the SNES Classic. Uh,
Yes.
I think arguably this is maybe the most popular and well received video game we've covered on the show thus far, knowing fully
Well,
well that we covered Final Fantasy.
we did cover Final Fantasy.
I
I'm not gonna pretend like this is
well,
more well received than Final Fantasy.
I think it is though, and the reason I say that is because the original Final Fantasy, important, not the best game in that series.
Sure,
Mega Man X,
I would say also important, but arguably not the best game in the series. But it's the one I like the most.
okay. I guess
I
I may be speaking out of turn, not knowing Mega Man inside out and not understanding. There's a ton of those games.
Yeah,
The ones that I hear about the most are Mega Man X, Mega Man 2.
Mega Man 2. Yeah,
Are the ones I don't know
I
what
know a
other
lot of
ones would
people.
be.
I like 3. 3 is really
Okay.
good, but
But I think in
and
terms
then
of
there's
individual game on the show,
9 and 10 are supposed to be really good. There's some people who really like. I think people who really like 4 X4.
okay.
I don't know. That was the first one on PlayStation and Sega Saturn and PC. That was the first disc-based Mega Man X. And then it just went weird from there. Like Mega Man X8 is like partially 3D. It's a mess. So that game's
Like
a
two and a
mess.
half D perspective, or like has
Like 2D portions, but also like, oh, you're going down this 3D corridor,
interesting.
and like
Okay.
you have like X and Y, or X, Y, and Z movement.
Okay.
Yeah, very odd. Yeah, I don't know what else there really is to say about like the legacy of the original Mega Man X, or like the gameplay of Mega Man X. It's you fight the bosses. You fight the bosses in whatever order uh, due to their weaknesses. Uh, there's a secret Hadouken in the game that can kill things in one hit.
And that like initially in the original game, you had to actually do the Hadouken button combo to pull it off.
Yes.
They
Yep.
changed that to just a regular attack later, right?
I think so. In like
Maybe the Legacy Collection.
maybe the Legacy Collection, maybe Maverick Hunter.
Okay, I remember reading that and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Maverick Hunter was the remake for PSP, by the
Okay.
way. Everything was redone in like 3D visuals. Very fun game still. It's a little bit different, but
All right.
I'd still recommend it if you want a little different take on Mega Man X.
Oh, and you know what? I didn't jot down how you could get your hands on it nowadays. Knowing that it's part of the Legacy Collection and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, it's the Legacy Collections. If you're so for both the original Mega Man series and for X, they're split into 2 different Legacy Collections. There's 1 and 2. If you go for just one, it's $20. If you do both, it's either 30 or 40. It kind of depends on where you look. Or you can do The 3DS version is, I think, $7.99. Maverick Hunter for PSP, I think you could still buy it for $20 on PSN. And then the NES class, or sorry, the Super Nintendo Classic, if you can find it, would be the other place. And I think that retails for like $80. But you also get like 22 other awesome games.
Yeah, in fact, with Super Mario RPG being featured on the stream, maybe I'll have to bust out some Mega Man X and see what it's all about.
There you go.
The time is now.
Time is now. I guess a couple other things about the development of Mega Man X that I found also in that development diary. It sounds like there's a lot of crunch that went into this game. It seemed like there's a lot of a corporate culture of, if you're working hard, you're like skipping your holidays, and you're passing up on going home at night and seeing your family. It seemed like there's a lot of stuff that was running late with this game. The planners, the people who were designing the characters, the story, the levels, before the programmers got their hands on it, were kind of late to transfer that over to the people who are actually going to make it technically happen. And in that little developer diary, there's stuff about the programmers, like talking about how Keiji Inafune wasn't, or like how all the programmers were like going home or going out to have some drinks, and the planners were staying at the office and had to stay at the office to get things done.
Yeah. I read part of that, and it was like it was funny hearing. I think it was Inafune. I don't know. It was kind of directed that he was going to be heading up this project, and the response was kind of like awestruck terror.
Yeah, it was like, oh,
it's such an honor. Wow, this sucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna be heading up this big project with this big character that we have. This is gonna be a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be worth it for accolades. Yeah. There's talk about like missing Golden Week, which is like a big holiday week in Japan. Just because like they'd be working instead. So it's, hopefully things aren't quite like that at Capcom anymore, but also games are a lot more complicated than they used to be.
Yeah. I mean, these games were coming out at a fantastic clip too for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Even for the time.
Yes.
They were just incessant. So yeah, it was a different kind of crunch too, to keep that kind of cadence up. So but if you guys get a chance to pop in the Discord, we got some fun cover art, all that good stuff. But one of the Japanese TV commercial, I forgot about that. That's really cool. There's a website that I found called the Cutting Room Floor, which is really cool. If you go to that, I've got the link posted in the Discord. It shows you a lot of stuff that was cut from games. Mega Man X has a lot of stuff that never made it into the game, sprites, things like that. Kind of an interesting thing to look at.
Like they had like different colored sprites for like Zero and stuff in there, and X, I believe. And
it was cool.
Different parts of levels that are still in the game, like different entryways to like boss rooms that are still in the game but like inaccessible. Like you'll never see them unless you can get into the code for the game. There's a lot of neat stuff in there.
Yeah,
definitely check it out.
But that's all I've got for Mega Man X. What little I brought to the table, that's all I have.
Yeah, it's really just a bunch of enthusiasm from my part, and it's like, it was made, I guess.
This game definitely came out. And that's part of the show, is reminding you that these games exist and
Yes.
potentially giving you a reason to check them out again. So
Mm-hmm.
there's plenty of
Play
ways
Mega
to do
Man
so with
X.
this one.
Play it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Not you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm off
Chris.
the hook. Cool. Moving on to the third game, our
Mm-hmm.
final game of the show. This is a game developed by Totally Games Incorporated, published by LucasArts Entertainment Company. That should be a pretty big hint. This is a first-person
Sam and
space
Max?
shooter. Another big hint. Released in 1999 and released solely on Windows. This is Star Wars X-Wing Alliance. My
Yes.
my special notes on this one is that I've never played it, and I was going to update that, but I can't update that.
You tried.
I did try. I bought the
You
Steam
certainly
version.
tried.
It was on a ridiculous sale. It was like $3, and I was like, "Well, it's Star Wars." I'd never actually played a game like this. I never played like a. I'm not a big dogfighting fan or space shooter fan, but I wanted to give it a shot, and
Mm-hmm.
this beast of a game released in 1999 apparently can't run on my computer. Every time I started it up,
it's
I'd get
it's
through
not
the
good enough, man.
menus. I know. I got to get that 3080. I just every time I'd boot it up and I'd be just ready to take off on my ship, it would crash on me. So I don't know why. I got a refund. So
Oh, good, excellent.
yeah,
So your
that
$10
was good.
did not go to waste.
Yeah, it was. Thankfully, I didn't try for 2 hours. I tried for 7 or 8 minutes, and I was like, "Oh, this is plenty." All right. So I've never played the game, despite all my efforts. But here's a description as to what you are doing in Star Wings X-Wing Alliance. You are a young member of a trading family trying to make a living by staying neutral, but your business rivals have other ideas. The galaxy is at war, and sooner or later, you will have to choose sides. You play as Ace Azamine. I think I'm
Sure,
pronouncing
that
that
sounds
right.
right. Sure.
Uh,
There's a
and
lot of names in this that I'm like, I think that's what it is.
right. So X-Wing Alliance is the latest in the X-Wing series of Star Wars space in cockpit in
Cockpit.
and that's it.
Listen,
I've broken.
and we are 18 plus.
Gosh, boy, are we happy that we don't have 5 games this week.
Petting those chickens.
In cockpit combat sim.
Hey.
You start in your family's Corellian transports, multiple models, as you deliver cargo and practice gunnery against pirates, poachers, and rivals. Later, you'll get to join the Rebel Alliance, fight plenty of battles, and eventually make your way, to the battle that will destroy, get this, the second Death Star. Adjust power, change weapons, arm lasers, and concussion missiles, even jump into a gun turret. Adjust power and recharge. There are over 50 missions for you to make your way through, plus full multiplayer support.
Yes.
It's a lot there.
There is.
I wish
There's
I
a
could
lot
have
there.
experienced it.
It's building on a lot. This is the fourth game in the X-Wing franchise. Technically the third game that had story. Because there's X-Wing and then TIE Fighter, then X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, which is just a multiplayer game. And then X-Wing Alliance was the culmination of the story of the whole franchise. This was the last game that Totally Games did within the Star Wars franchise, and people have been chasing this this aesthetic sense. People wanted a freeform Star Wars space shooter for forever. We kind of got it with Squadrons in October, but it's pretty different still. And you haven't played any of the previous ones, correct? You haven't
No, I
played.
haven't. I've never played. I didn't even have interest in Squadrons, which, given my, I guess we didn't go over my current Star Wars um rabbit hole that I've gone down.
Sure.
But we'll save that for next week. It'll still very much be alive, I'm sure. But yeah, no, it's maybe something that I want to take a better look at here soon. I might have to figure out a
Hmm.
different way to play this game specifically, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We got a long ways to go. So,
Uh, so the way that this game differentiates from its previous games, they added full 3D cockpits, so you can look around and see what the inside of your X-wing or your A-wing or your TIE fighter or whatever other craft that you're piloting. But it does differ from the cockpits that were in the previous games, where your HUD shows you all of your information instead of the stuff in the cockpit. The cockpit used to be like your main HUD, but now you have a visually separate thing. Also, they let you be in different parts of a ship. So let's say you're in the Millennium Falcon. You can either pilot it or you can have the AI pilot it, and you can jump in the gunner seat and just like take care of all the shooting. So you can kind of fulfill those old Star Wars fantasies a bit.
yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. But there's a ton of crafts that you can fly. There's 27.
Wow. Okay.
There's 5 Rebel crafts. So the X-Wing, Y-Wing, A-Wing, the Z-95 Headhunter, and the B-Wing. And then the Imperial crafts are TIE Fighter, the Interceptor, the Bomber, the TIE Advance, the TIE Defender, the Assault Gunboat, which I think it's a spaceship, not a boat. And then the Missile Boat, which is also a spaceship and not a boat, unless I'm sorely mistaken. And these are things that happen on the Battle of Endor. I'm not sure. But there's a bunch of other. There's a ton of other spaceships. Cloak shaped fighter. The Supa fighter. SUPA. The T-wing interceptor. I'm not familiar with any of these. At one time, I might have been.
I will be eventually.
But I do remember when I was playing things like X-wing or TIE fighter, that each ship does kind of handle differently, as they should. Like an X-wing should not fly like a TIE fighter does. I remember that being like a pretty big feature and a point of trying different ships. There's a ton of stuff in this game. I found a Rebel Squadrons wiki that just has like everything in the game. So it's like all the ships that you can play as, all of the crafts that are in the game that you can't play as that are just in the levels, all the campaign missions. I'll post this in the show notes and probably in the you know what? I'm gonna post it in the Discord right now.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. Some live editing here.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, so this game is pretty well received. Granted, it's old enough to not really have Metacritic scores. I think there was a user score that was pretty high, but it was a finalist for the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences in 1999 for Simulation Game of the Year.
Yes.
I thought this was funny. That was actually won by Microsoft Flight Simulator 2000.
Well, I mean, you can't mess with the best.
Well, and that's when I thought back to 2019 with Star Wars Squadrons, and wouldn't you know it, Flight Sim
or 2020
or 2020. Yeah, that's right. We're in 2021 now. What am I thinking?
We are. It's a
Jesus.
whole new year.
When did that happen?
We went over that at the beginning of the episode.
Where am I?
Can't believe we recorded this in 2020.
So yeah, I had flashbacks back to I don't know if Squadrons was good enough to win any awards, but I know Flight Sim was. So I'm like just thinking again, like not again.
Yeah.
20 years later, this is the exact same problem.
I feel like Squadrons is still kind of being worked on as we go. At least in the couple months that it had been out, they started adding more specialty equipment that you can use with it. So like HOTAS support, different flight sticks, VR. They had VR for the PlayStation 4 version, but I'm not sure what they had for PC, and I feel like they're working on more and more of that stuff to make it more immersive. But
Okay.
um,
It was also
yeah,
nominated for CNET, by CNET for the best sci-fi simulation award, but lost that award to MechWarrior 3.
what?
So, sure,
Okay,
yeah,
whatever.
but
We'll get them next time.
I was I, I was so excited to have something to discuss regarding gameplay, and then it
Uh huh.
didn't work.
And
So,
then nothing. I mean, you
um,
played Hawken.
I did, yeah, I did. I did. I was hoping specifically for this game because I was weirdly excited to play it for it being a space shooter.
Yeah,
Which doesn't do much for me. I just still had this like weird interest of like getting into it, but oh well.
it is
Um,
racing game adjacent,
it
so
is kind
that
of
makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
The one thing I actually buzzed over one thing that I thought was cool, and I don't think I've ever heard of it before. Prima's official strategy guide. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously offered mission summaries and hints as is normal, but it actually also came with a CD, which included additional skirmish templates, a camera that actually harkened back to the older games in the series, and films of every mission in the game. Um,
Oh wow.
I can't think off the top of my head. I really liked strategy guides growing up. I used to play all of my RPGs with strategy guides because I hated missing things. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember a official strategy guide that ever offered bonus content within the
Yeah,
guide.
like almost like mods.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like
that's wild.
it's. I read that and I was like, well, that's awesome. That's almost like it's
That's
taken like
crazy.
a PlayStation magazine, like official PlayStation magazine route, where you get like a demo disc with every issue, but
Yeah.
it's specifically there to enhance an existing game. So I
No.
thought that was
Yeah.
really neat.
That is neat.
So,
That's very cool. Well, they did add with this game a scenario builder, which was the first for the series. So
oh, okay.
maybe it had to do with that somehow.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Now that you say that, I think there was something on that CD that beyond that that
It's
actually
probably
lines up with
files to
that.
add to your folder for like, these are the scenarios we built.
Yeah, maybe that's what the
Yeah.
skirmish templates would be then.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, but still, yeah, very cool.
So so who made this again? It was
Totally Games.
Totally Games.
Yeah.
Um, what's
Who?
going on with them?
Well, they're not doing much now.
Nope.
But they at the time they had done the other games in this series: Tie Fighter, X-wing versus Tie Fighter, and then this game. And then they'd also
Hmm.
done Star Wars Bridge Commander, not the most recent one, which was a
Yeah.
remake of. I think it was a remake of the Bridge Commander version here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Probably at least inspired by it.
yeah. The other games that they have on their resume are Secret Weapons over Normandy, which is a game that I've seen all over the place, never played. For some reason, Secret Weapons over Normandy is a game that I can't seem to escape. I feel like
Oh,
I see that game all the time.
I don't know why I kind of like glazed over that. I remember that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a World
Um,
War One or World War Two shooter, or not shooter, but flight sim
yeah.
arcadey flight thing.
Based on how
I
much I've
don't know
heard
where
about
my
it,
mind's
it
at right
may very
now.
well be a very good game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they also did Alien Syndrome. I don't know anything about that. Dora the Explorer. Dora saves the mermaids. Um,
Hell,
PBR out of the chute, not the PBR that I immediately thought of. Um, Not Pabst Blue Ribbon. This is actually professional bull riding out of the chute.
for sure.
And then Ocean is how it's spelled. I don't know how to say it. Oceanus.
Oh,
I don't know.
Oceanus.
Yeah, it's actually the first time I've tried to say it out loud, and I just realized the problems I'm having with it. Um, but yeah, that's the Oceanus was their last game that they released. Um, and they haven't done much since. I don't actually remember the year. I think it was 2010 when they
2015. Oh, when
2015
Oceanus
for.
came out?
Oh, okay, you might be right. I pulled 10 from a different place, I think. But yeah, I haven't seen anything from them since.
No, they went defunct in 2015.
Okay,
So they no longer exist.
so too bad they couldn't keep running with the Star Wars
Yeah.
games, especially when they kind of turned the corner with a Disney purchase.
Yeah.
It seems like those were perfectly good games, and a lot of people really enjoyed them. I feel like maybe there was an opportunity there to stick around and continue to put those games out, but ultimately
I
didn't pan out.
So I feel like they kind of got burned with like LucasArts jumping out of the game industry for a while.
Yeah.
Um, Especially like, I mean, they were doing Star Wars. They did Secret Weapons over Normandy, which was another LucasArts game. So, what year did LucasArts get out of that?
I don't know, but now
I
you've
want
got
I want to say
me.
it was like mid 2000s.
Live research, folks.
Yes.
Here it
Welcome
comes.
welcome to the this is how it works. This is our
Beauty of the
development.
intranet.
So restructuring, they restructured in April 2004. 2005, they published Lego Star Wars. I know this is very exciting stuff, everyone.
Well, what I see is it looks like a large amount of the staff was laid off in June 2008. Although the company still had projects in development. And then, along with the parents' company, Lucasfilm, LucasArts was acquired by the Walt Disney Company in October 2012.
Yes. We
Development
know how that
division
goes.
was then, yes, it was then shut down. April 3rd, 2013, canceling all projects, laying off all staff with the exception of a skeleton crew. LucasArts has since become a small publishing and licensing company.
Got it. So that happened way later than I thought. for a lot of this stuff to go down, if like the last thing that that Totally Games did with them was 2003.
Yeah, they definitely obviously pushed out a lot of Star Wars content past that. Let's see, 2003. What would they have? Okay, okay. Well, hold on.
All that this says on here, at least for Totally Games themselves, is that they changed their business model in October 2008 to a virtual model and continued developing innovative projects beyond the traditional game publishing environment.
Ah,
Lawrence Holland continues to design games and related software, working with a close-knit team developing on traditional and new platforms, including the web, iPhone, and social media platforms. That seems like something that was written 10 years ago.
yeah. I mean, they didn't. LucasArts themselves, they didn't slow down on Star Wars. Obviously, there was
No.
tons of Star Wars games that came out over the years. Star Wars Tiny Death Star that came out on iPhone.
Yeah, Tiny Death Star. That's right.
Tiny Death Star.
That was like what was it? Tiny Tower? Is that what
Uh,
it's based on?
it could be. I don't know. I just thought it was a
Build a
fun.
tower. There's a bunch of like inhabitants in it. You have to build things to make them happy.
So, but yeah, that's all. That's all I've got really on Star Wars.
Yeah.
What is the rest of this game? X-Wing Alliance. That's what it is.
X-Wing Alliance. Wow, memorable. Really just
I know. I was so excited to play it, and I was just crushed
getting
that
there
it
in
didn't
the
work
end.
out. I actually got it for sale on the last day of a sale for
Yeah.
$3.50, and now it's normally priced at $9.99 on Steam and GOG.
So there's a like when I was trying to watch like gameplay videos of this, there's a lot of videos of people with modded versions of this game.
Uh-huh.
So there are mods out there for like enhanced textures to make it run better, to run it at higher resolutions. So there are ways to play this today that will look a lot nicer. So
Yeah, mine did look rough. If I would have played it and wanted to play it again, I would have definitely checked out mods.
this is a series that if you played it back in the day, it would look amazing. But like if you think about it now, you're like, oh yeah, the thing was running at like 20 frames a second, real choppy on like on a Windows 98 PC. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
that's all I've
those are the
got.
games. Those
What
are the
say
three.
we rank them?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, let's rank these things.
You have been
I went first last time.
awesome. I was just about to say you have been the one who knows when the things happen. So
It's the only thing I know.
perfect. And you did say you went first, right?
I did.
Okay. I will lead us off then. My first game on this list is, or I'm sorry, my first game. My number 3 game
Your
of the
third
week.
game. The last game on your list.
We talked about shortening the podcast. No, my number 3 is, this is actually harder than I would have thought. I was thinking about it before we got here, and I'm like, oh, I think I got it figured out. Now that I'm putting critical thought into it, I've confused myself again.
100%.
I am going to go with gosh, I'm going to go with Hawken as my number 3.
Okay.
I
was going to say, if you say Mega Man, I'm quitting this podcast.
It crossed my mind. Not because I actually feel that way, because I just wanted to see what your reaction would have been.
You like platformers. How is this not something that you've played?
I know.
I'm sorry. Let's talk about Hawken.
Hawken is... I actually enjoyed my time with it more than I would have thought. I thought it's a perfectly competent mech first-person shooter. It is too bad that there's not more people playing it. But I get why, especially because it's as old as it is now. It's hard to find players in any game that existed 2 years ago that isn't constantly updated nowadays. So it's just not a fair ask. I didn't play it enough to get a good idea of how it could be better. But when I compare it to a game like Titanfall, which I have to, because Titanfall came out a month later, I think that these games are surprisingly similar. The thing that set Titanfall apart from me, having played both, is that the shooting controls on Titanfall felt really good. Respawn was known for that kind of thing. The bullets, the shots just felt so good. In this game, it felt weirdly kind of arcadey almost, in a way that I don't even know if that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, it was supposed to be an arena shooter, so it's supposed to be like a Quake or an Unreal Tournament,
and maybe
but with mechs.
Yeah, that was just kind of it didn't feel as good as I think it could have felt.
Right.
But I think that it was still a very competent game. That's part of me. I think the big downfall to it was more attributed to the competition it had at the time. So,
yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of you on this one, because Hawken is also my number 3. When you think about a mech shooter, and the ways that Titanfall succeeds in the way that I don't think this does, is Titanfall, you do have your normal player character, your soldier that can run around, and it feels very different from your mechs. And the mechs themselves feel different from other mechs. They control a little bit different. They have slightly different abilities. And also, if you were to play something like a Chrome Hounds or a Mech Warrior, something that's a little bit more sim-like with the mechs, like some mechs are tanks, some mechs are like literal tanks. They have tank treads. They are vehicles. Some of them are bipedal. Some of them are 4 legs, but they have wheels on the end of the legs. Like, they're all different, and they play differently. And the mech, the mech fantasy is there. With this, it's just it's a shooter where you happen to be robots. And I think that's where it fails a bit. Also, I think it's weird that they place their bets on the console version of this game and not the PC version, for a first person shooter that's free to play.
Yeah,
Um,
that was
I'm very surprised that they closed down the PC version. My guess is because you can mod the PC version, and get around the real money stuff somehow, the way that the game was built. I'm guessing that's they saw on consoles people can't really do that as well. Um, and they could try to make more money from their microtransactions there. That really doesn't, the platform stuff doesn't really weigh on why I'm ranking this number 3. It's just that I don't think I would have very much fun with it for very long. And like you said, there are other mech games that I would rather be playing, like a Titanfall. Uh, I would love for there to be a Chrome Hounds revival. Please, anyone, uh, make new Chrome Hounds. I think was that Capcom. Anyways, never mind. Yeah, that's my number 3.
okay.
Chris, what's your number 2 for this week?
My number 2 is going to be Star Wars X-Wing Alliance, and the reason any other week except maybe last week, any week prior to that, this game is my number 3. But the thing that it has going for it, which suddenly, and I'll go, okay, I wasn't going to share this, but here's what I've gotten up to.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone down a Star Wars rabbit hole. This is a stupid rabbit hole. It's going to take me forever to get through. But I found a list on the Star Wars fandom of a complete list of media released related to Star Wars. And I've started going through it, starting with 1978 Star Wars movie, and actually the couple of things that came out before that. So I'm going through and I'm not reading everything because a lot of it is like weekly newsletters, and it's
Sure.
or monthly newsletters, monthly calendars, that stuff. But I have started reading the comics, which are
Oh, cool.
thankfully available right now
The old
online.
comics or the new ones?
The old ones, the ones
old ones,
published
okay.
in the 70s.
Got it.
And for whatever reason, I've got this bug, this Star Wars bug.
Sure.
It bit me, and now I'm so excited to get through this stuff because a lot of it is not that good.
Yeah.
But I want to get into the new stuff. But I want to understand. I want to get into the extended universe in a way that I don't think
doesn't
I've
exist
ever
anymore.
done before. That's true. Yeah, it is also. Yeah, I know a lot of
But
it's the Legends stuff that I'm in right now.
yeah, it's weird that they decided to like wipe that slate clean and then they're just slowly reintroducing the same stuff.
Well, that's what I'm having a trouble.
It's
Like that's what I'm having problems with.
Thrawn's
Like
here.
Some of the comics, like they like when they started the comics, they literally released the first 6 comics to coincide with A New Hope,
Yeah.
but they didn't have the final design for Jabba the Hutt. So Jabba looks like a weird dude just walking around. like it's really strange. Luke and Leia are all over each other. It is awkward. But that being said, all of that prefaces why I put Star Wars as my number 2 X-Wing Alliance, knowing the kind of game it is. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, but I have got the Star Wars disease right now. I need just all of the Star Wars I can handle. I even bought novels. I have novels.
You should watch the opening cutscene of this game.
I did,
because it's like
that actually worked.
It's very much like it's how I remember Star Wars being when I was little, like super dry and like just about like, oh, these canisters are empty. We need to refuel these things. Are you sure we could do that here? Oh boy, I think we can. But it's like everything that I want from a flight sim Star Wars game. It's just hitting that right tone.
Yeah, the fact that I made it as far into the game to start the first mission, that the intro to that made me all the more excited to do it. And then when it didn't work, I was even more crushed. But we'll figure that out down the road because Star Wars X-Wing Alliance is going to be on that list of media at some point.
Eventually, it has to.
So,
you have like dark forces, and
there's going to be all kinds of. So I'm going to be
doing a lot of stuff. Did you see that bundle that's in there? It's like $140. and it's all the Star Wars games.
Is it? Should I just invest in it right now? I probably should. It would be the
Maybe
logical
I
thing.
don't know. Wait for a sale. It's fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, that's why X-Wing Alliance is my number 2, despite it being the kind of game it is. The Star Wars license alone right now carries, I think, more weight than it ever has for me before. So
sure. I will also go with Star Wars X-Wing Alliance as my number 2.
come on, John, be your own man. You know you don't like Mega Man X that much.
Chris. So, like I said, I've played other games in this franchise, and I like them a lot. But I also played them back in like 99, 2000, and I do have some nostalgia for them. But I know how PC games play from that era. I just don't know how well it's going to play now. But I am willing to give it a shot if I ever get a chance. I do think that these were fun flight sims. I also have a pretty big nostalgia point for like Wing Commander. And that's very similar to how this stuff works and plays. And kind of going back to like the rabbit hole that you were talking about, like it's really easy to get back into old Star Wars stuff. The before times before the prequels came out. Those were like Star Wars stuff was few and far between, and they're pretty magical.
Yeah.
And this is something that I would definitely like to play more than Hawken currently. If only for nostalgia, just to see how this holds up. And fly some cool starships around and shoot things. Blow up the Death Star again.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that'd be pretty neat. That's my number 2. Chris, thank you. Thank you for your number 1. Unless you're just omitting a number 1 from the list and you're going to say Corpse Party again or some more Godfall somehow.
No, my number 1 is Mega Man X. I mean, I wasn't being cute or anything when I said that I think that this is one of the most well-received and important games that we've covered on this game, if not the most. Knowing what Final Fantasy is, like I said, I think individual game-wise, this game is much better received than the original Final Fantasy, who had its flaws. That's why I put it there. I think for that reason alone, it is a game that I need to experience. I need to check it out. While I like side scrollers, I'm okay with side scrollers. You know, I beat Celeste. I did that stuff. The second you start introducing combat mechanics, like games like Hollow Knight was one that I jumped off of right away because the combat and the platforming is not something that I'm usually into. Castlevania games usually don't do it for me. That kind of stuff. So that's where Mega Man doesn't resonate with me as a gamer, but it is important enough, and I respect it enough that it's definitely my number 1, and it's not even close. And now I just need to take the step of getting into it and giving it a fair shake.
Yeah, and I think with Mega Man X, if you're looking at it compared to other Mega Man games, it's probably one that you personally could probably get into a little bit more. There's a little bit more mobility with your dashing, and I didn't mention earlier they did add wall jumping to this. So there's just easier ways to get around. Obviously, there is combat; you are shooting things, but I think you might have a better time with this than say a Mega Man 2. It's still a surprise. My number 1 this week is Mega Man X. Like I said earlier, it is probably in my top 10 games of all time. I could play this game at any time. I could boot up any console or handheld or whatever. If it has Mega Man X on it, I will play through most of it in like one sitting. I know a lot of it like the back of my hand. The soundtrack sometimes just goes through my head. It really is one of the best games I've ever played. I'm sure a lot of it's nostalgia, but if I keep going back to it and I keep loving it, like how much of that is nostalgia at that point?
Yeah, I mean, even nostalgia. Sometimes I view nostalgia as kind of like a kind of like a thinly veiled thing that lies over this thing that you love, and as soon as you kind of get up close to it, you start to see like, oh wait, this isn't. This can't be forgiven. This is the
Right.
it only takes you so far, and if uh, you can only play some of those games that trigger that nostalgia so many times before you're just like, okay, the experience is gone. But
Yeah.
to have the ability to kind of infinitely replay a game like that, that's significant for a lot of reasons. So
Yep.
that's awesome.
It's one of those games that I have like muscle memory for. Like
Okay.
you put a controller in my hands, it doesn't matter like what controller it is, as long as like the jump and shoot buttons are in the right places, and I guess and the dash button kind of have to be in like a B X situation like that bottom like three. Um, I'm off to the races, um, and I'm comfortable. It feels like home. Mega Man X is home for me.
Perfect.
Um, that's why it's my number one.
I'm glad it came up on the list. It
Me
could have
too.
been stuck
Me
in there
too.
for a very long time, maybe forever.
I feel like I could have done it better justice back when we were describing everything. Got a little bit too excited. Anyways,
I
uh,
think you did great.
yeah,
That's a show. Um,
that's it.
unless you have anything else you want to throw in.
No,
All right.
watch for the YouTube stuff at
Yes,
some
please
point.
do. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, which we will post. I mean, we have a couple videos ready to go. We just have to make some
Yeah,
final tweaks and get them going. So look for those to start to come out this week. And then just like normal, if you want to reach out to us, patreon.com/procedurally generated. You can reach out to us there. You feel like throwing us a couple bucks, helping us hit our next goal, which will get us a weekly Twitch stream for one of the games
yeah.
featured every week. Then by all means do that. I guess that means at that point we'd have to create a procedurally generated Twitch channel as well, right?
Yes and no. I mean, we could always do it on our channels,
Good.
but
Yeah, I guess we got time to think about it. Unless we
mhm.
don't have time to think about it, which is entirely up to you.
Hey, if someone wants to throw $100 a month our way, sure,
Yeah, then we'll
why
make the
not?
decision before next week. You can also reach out to us at our email, pgshowinbox@gmail.com. Our Twitter, pg_show. The Discord link will be below. And then obviously, like I said, YouTube, procedurally generated. We'll have a link down there as well. Did I miss anything? I feel like I forgot one thing. No, I don't think I said the Patreon.
No, yeah.
Speaking
Patreon,
of
YouTube,
Patreon, we got
yeah,
some people to thank.
we do.
This is
We got a few
exciting.
more
We have
people to
some new
thank.
people to thank. Yes. So, to our platinum supporters, Mecha Sprite and Young Hydra, thank you so much.
Thank you.
To our gold supporter, XGen, thank you so much. To our silver supporters, Katie Weber, The Lone Wolf, Tim G, and our newest silver supporter, Cassidy Nealmans. Thank you, bud.
Thank you.
And welcome. And then to our bronze supporters, Aussie Gamer, Jason Daphnis, John Carson, and introducing Brandon Johnson. Welcome. Thank you, each and
Welcome.
every one
Thank
of
you.
you. Your support does mean the world to us. We were so happy to hit that first goal. And now, it just feels like every week we get a little better at this.
Yeah.
And we're really starting to kind of hit our stride for what the show is. So I'm excited for you guys to check out the YouTube content, as it's the newest addition to the show. But yeah, I don't have too much else. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this. It does help us get out there, as I've said before. But I won't keep you much longer. John, do you have anything else?
No, next week's going to be a fun episode again, I think. We've got 3 very different games.
True.
So we are going to be doing that. I think I just want to mention again, we are going to be doing the community choice game once a month.
I don't think I mentioned
I
that when we came out of the break, did I?
I thought you did, but
Did I?
we are going forward. We are going to be doing our community choice game the last episode of each month, once per month. one game.
We still desperately want you guys to be participants in this. So we put a vote out there, and it was actually unanimous. It wasn't. It was one game at the end of the final show of the month. So that is what we are going to go with. So thank you guys for casting your votes on that. And
so our January 28th episode will be that episode.
Yeah, which means that I have a reminder set up at the beginning of the third week to get those games posted so you guys can vote. So look for that.
We should probably announce that next week, I guess.
I guess we could
what the games are.
We could do that next week as well.
Because it'd be like 1 week of it being up. Yeah.
So
great. Excellent.
That would make sense because we also need a week to research.
Yes.
That is a much better approach.
We do need more than a day to research.
We'll just start the show. And our third game is, oh God, we didn't do any research on this.
Oh no, everything's on fire. What did we do? What do we do?
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys again. Look for that vote to go up sometime next week, early next week. And until then, have a great continued beginning of 2021.
Yes. Happy Johnuary.
Yes. Oh, gross.
Well, we'll see you later.
That's what we're going to leave them with. All right. Bye.